G'day Browncoats, down the bricks here. Today we're having a look at Serenity, the Firefly class spaceship from the TV show. And this is of course home to Zoe, Wash, Anara, Jane, Kaylee, Book, Simon and River, and of course the Captain Malcolm Reynolds. And I do have a custom minifig here that I think looks the part. But how shiny is that? I love this build. I must admit it's a pretty fragile build, but I do love it all the same. So a little bit about this. This actually was a submission on Kuso that did reach the 10,000 votes required, but was rejected by Lego, unfortunately. But I actually think it might have been one of the quickest Kuso projects to reach 10,000 votes. I'm not too sure about that. I just think I remember reading something that at that stage it was one of the quickest, if not the quickest, to reach 10,000 votes, which really shows that the show Firefly had some really hardcore fans, and proud to call myself one of those. Really love the show and still devastated to this day that it was cancelled. Now Lego obviously did reject this project using, it was quite interesting reading the review of the set where they actually rejected it and said that they anticipated this set reaching 10,000 votes before it even reached the 10,000, and set about reviewing the set before it even reached 10,000, which so I think speaks volumes for the popularity of it. But in the end, Lego decided to reject the set because it didn't fit the criteria, that it wasn't really aimed at its core audience of kids aged 6 to 10, which is a little bit of a mystery. I mean, I do understand that. You do have to look at themes like Lord of the Rings and other licensed themes to see if that's really sort of relevant to 6 to 11-year-olds. But overall, to me, the main reason a set like this gets rejected is because of the sheer size. I mean, this is 2,200 parts, or approximately 2,200 parts, and we've never seen a Lego Kuso or Ideas set to that piece count ever been approved before, so I don't think we ever will. But the great thing about this is that it was made available. The parts list and instructions are able to be purchased, so if you do want to go ahead and build one yourself, it is possible. The actual design of it though is a little bit, let's just say it needs a bit of tweaking, and it would have been great to Lego to get involved to actually fix some of the flaws with this build. But while it looks great, you do have to be very careful with moving it around. Even just touching it sometimes will make parts fall off, and they are pretty hard to get back on. But I'll go through some of that now in this review. Really, to move it, you do need to separate it into two parts to be able to move it. So I'll show you that as well, where it actually pulls apart. I'm not going to actually pull it apart because sometimes it is a bit hard to get back together, but I will show you where the connection points are and how you actually can pull it apart. Now there is some use of rarer elements in this build. Some of those elements you can only actually get in the older grey colours, so the light grey and the dark grey, and some of them aren't real cheap. Now like I said, it's a little bit under 2,200 parts. Now I had roughly half of the parts in my own collection before I took this build on, and I had to purchase the other 1,100 parts. To do that, I actually got some from Lego, Shop at Home, and from 4 other Bricklink sellers. Actually sourced the parts from 5 different sellers, so really 1100 parts. Normally you'd expect to probably get those parts from less sellers than that, maybe 1, 2 or 3, but 5 different sellers it took for me to be able to source those 1100 parts. So it was quite expensive, and there's quite a portion of that, of course, is freight. So obviously I didn't pay any freight from Lego, so from 4 sellers there is a freight component. So it ended up costing me about $360 Australian to put it together. This set was available from a website, and it's the same website that actually sells the instructions, so I'm going to put a link to that website in the description. So if you're wanting to have a look at that website and perhaps purchase the instructions for yourself, you can do so. They were selling the kits. I'm not sure if they do that anymore. I know at one stage they weren't, and then they started to sell them again, and I think it was about, might have been about 380 US. I'm thinking off the top of my head that they were selling the kits for, and that's going back a little while now. I mean, it was probably about 18 months ago or so that I built this set. So they may be selling the kits again now, I'm not too sure, but at the very least you can buy the instructions, and they are $15 US to purchase. Now the instructions are pretty hard to follow. It's a very complicated build. Took some time, and it's very fiddly. There's going to be a few times you're going to lose your cool putting it together, trust me. But in the end, the result is fantastic, and I really, really love this build. It's one of my personal favorites from my collection, and you guys know that I've got a pretty big collection, so that's speaking volumes for this build. Of course, as a big fan, I really have that connection with it as well. But I've certainly rattled on for long enough, so let's get into it and have a bit of a look. So I'll try and just spin it around for you guys now so you can get a better look at it. And hopefully I won't break anything. So you can adjust the engines here up and down like so. And there is a light brick here. So I don't know how well you're going to see that with the lights on, but the whole Firefly tail section lights up, so that's pretty cool. This is a main section around here that is very fragile. A lot of these panels are only held on by one stud, and they're interlocked, so if one of the ones underneath falls off, it's very hard to get it back on. But there is some fantastic detail in it. And how cool does that look? Oh, I just love it. And if I take the camera down here, you actually see the cargo bay, and it does lift down like that, so you have quite a bit of space in there if you want to put a vehicle or whatever, and you can access that from the top. So what I'll do now is I'll take the camera off the tripod and just go freehand just to show you some more of the features. Okay, first we have the cockpit, and of course to this scale you can only fit one minifig in there, so you can actually just lift this bar up here to get access. And it doesn't have Wash's dinosaurs, unfortunately. And just to show you this neck piece and a little bit on how the build is constructed, you can actually take that panel right off and just show some of the build inside. So there is numerous bricks in this build that you can use whatever colour you want, because they're not going to be seen. And this whole top section lifts off, and there you have the kitchen. And just to show that a little better, so you have your kitchen dining area, and that lifts out as well. And there's the cargo bay in there. So the only thing we really have in there is the control panel. Let's see if I can lift that up a bit. There we go. Now this is where you can separate it. So the separation point's there, so you can see the pins. So there's one pin that holds it and has a couple of axles there to guide the pin in. So that's how you disconnect it there. And then this whole section here is its own build that actually joins the Firefly section, propulsion section, to the craft itself. So this whole section here is built around a rigid hose, and that's it there. And then you actually just push this whole section onto this ring here. So it just joins on with that. So that's why you can't pick it up, because that's the only thing that's actually holding this back section on. So really what holds it there when it's on display is this cradle along here. So it just nestles in there and holds into here with that rigid hose piece. Now, like I said, there some of these attachment points, there's only one stud, so it is quite flimsy, and just to help hold all this together you actually use a rubber band just to help pull it all in and hold it. Unfortunately, one of my problems is that rubber band has perished and broken, so you can see it running around there and it's broken there. So I don't have that added support to that section anymore. So that is another reason why I try not to move it too much, is because it doesn't have that support anymore, so it is a little bit more fragile around this area. And the light up tail section looks fantastic at night when you light it up. but it really does look great, doesn't it? Just want to say a big thank you to the designer of this build, T-Bone TBL. Thanks a lot, mate, and thank you very much for making this available to the average punter. So again, guys, the link will be in the description to the website that you can get the instructions for this build. Please let me know if you're going to take it on. I'd love to know that. I'd love to know how you go with it. And a big thank you to all you brown coats for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. You can let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to have a chat about it. Please give this video a thumbs up. That'd be sweet. Subscribe to my channel for more Lego. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.